Did you know that parents rank teaching financial literacy as the toughest life skill? That's where Greenlight comes in, the debit card and money app made for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and track spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn how to earn, save, and spend responsibly, while parents have peace of mind knowing smart money habits are being built with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/trygreenlight. That's greenlight.com/trygreenlight.
Brandon Alsley here, play-by-play for the Abby Canucks. You got it locked in the line change, a Vancouver Canucks podcast.
The clock is ticking, folks. We are officially on the eve of the NHL trade deadline, and the Conor Garland sweepstakes have officially shifted into overdrive. What's more than hyperdrive? Because we talked about them getting kicked into hyperdrive. Well, whatever is more than that, they've officially kicked into over hyperdrive. We've been tracking this for weeks, particularly the last couple of days. But the latest reports are pointing towards significant traction in a Conor Garland trade. We're talking 3 to 6 teams involved, but word on the street is that the list of serious contenders has narrowed down to just 3. Today, we're breaking down the latest from Pierre LeBrun and David Pagnotta, why the Canucks are feeling the pressure to move him now, and what a potential deal looks like for Vancouver's future. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We are your home for all things Canucks trade deadline. Let's look at the names. TSN's Pierre LeBrun dropped a bombshell on Twitter, on X, listing Columbus, Washington, New Jersey, the Islanders, San Jose, and Boston as teams having shown interest in Conor Garland. That is a massive list. Obviously, we've already talked about teams like Boston, the Islanders. We kind of particularly focused on those two teams in a few of our recent videos. However, over on the DFO rundown, David Pagnotta is reporting that the circle is tightening. He's narrowing it down to a final 3 teams: the Devils, the Bruins, and the Islanders. Pagnotta didn't mince words either. He said there is significant traction and a very good chance Garland is moved. This isn't just smoke anymore. We are seeing some serious fire. Now, I'm going to pull up this tweet from David Pagnotta from around just before 4:30 this afternoon. He goes on and mentioned a few minutes ago, boys are talking about it now. Trade talks have significantly picked up on Canucks' Conor Garland, so much so that there's now an expectation he'll be moved by the deadline. Sounds like the Isles, the Bruins, and the Devils are in the thick of the race. So there's that. Now, why is there so much urgency when it comes to trading Garland? It comes down to the calendar. Garland is 29 and having a down year, especially for his standards. He's on pace for about 37 points, which is a massive decline on his usual, where he's usually a 50 to 55 point guy. But here's the kicker. His 6-year, $36 million extension kicks in next season. That deal carries a $6 million AAV and, more importantly, a full no-move clause for the first 3 seasons. Right now, the Canucks, they have the control. But starting on July 1st, Garland gets the wheel. If the Canucks are committed to this rebuild, they cannot afford a quote-unquote nightmare scenario where a player with a $6 million cap hit decides he doesn't want to be a part of the plan but refuses to be moved. Management needs that cap flexibility to build around the core, and this is their last window to move him without his permission. Although you could argue that if they do keep Garland past the deadline, they could move him in the offseason. And I think some people were even speculating, that he could be potentially moved in the offseason. But let's take a look at some of the teams. I know we've already talked about some of them, but let's just do a bit of a refresher. Let's talk about the Islanders first off. They've been linked to Garland for some time now. We've, of course, talked about it in several videos, which you guys can, by the way, check out. I'll leave little things up at the top so you guys can check those guys out. Also, you can also check them out in the end screen. I will leave links to them there as well. But they need scoring depth, and Garland's tenacity fits that Islanders mold. But can they fit that future $6 million cap hit? We've obviously heard the Islanders reporter. His name is, slipping my mind right now, but he's kind of mentioned that how it's kind of, gotten cold on the Islanders front, because apparently the Islanders, they're not willing to give up what the Canucks want in return. Now, we also talked about a potential return by the Islanders. We talked about the likes of Callum Ritchie. We talked about Anthony Duclair. Although I don't think the Islanders would be willing to pay at least Ritchie for Garland. And also, that would also include picks. Now, we've talked about as well how the Islanders have a bit of a leg up on the other teams because they still have a first-round pick. And the Canucks, they really want a first-round pick for Conor Garland. And the Islanders are the only one that can offer them that. But perhaps the Islanders are not willing to offer that for Garland. They want to maybe save that for maybe somebody, a little higher up, or they're just not willing to part with a first-round pick. Moving on, let's take a look at the Bruins. Obviously, it would be a homecoming for the Massachusetts native. Garland, of course, from Massachusetts. Boston is always looking to bolster their middle six for a playoff run. Garland grew up there. It's a storybook fit. We've already gone over what the Canucks can get from the Bruins in a package in a previous video, which, again, I'll leave links to up above. But we've talked about, the likes of Matthew Poitras, Mason Lohrei, and even recently Fraser Minton as potential, targets for the Canucks in a Conor Garland trade, of course, along with draft picks as well. Let's take a look at the Devils, because this is kind of like one of the newer teams that have gotten involved in Conor Garland. New Jersey is fast, young, and looking to add established talent. Garland's playmaking could be a huge asset on their wings, especially playing potentially with maybe Jack Hughes. Now, the Devils are interesting because you would think they'd be sellers, as they're not making the playoffs at this point, and their season has kind of been turned completely upside down. So it's very interesting and intriguing to hear that the Devils are one of the final three teams potentially involved in a trade for Garland. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the Devils in particular. Of course, there was another team, the Blue Jackets. They got brought up. We've heard their name thrown in there, and we've also, when it comes to a return, we've heard the likes of, Ken Johnson maybe coming back to the Canucks. Obviously, the Canucks like Johnson a lot. You've heard a lot of fans talk about, would love to get Johnson, especially if he was involved in a Conor Garland trade. Although I'm not sure how much steam Columbus has compared to the likes of the other three, or more so the Islanders and the Bruins. I think those are actually the top two candidates. But that also, the same goes when it comes to the steam and it comes to Garland, applies to the likes of Washington and St. Louis, San Jose. Now, I've been reading your comments on the recent Garland update, and the vibe is clear. Most of you feel it's time. One viewer recently pointed out that we can't risk losing him for nothing or losing that flexibility once the no-move clause kicks in. There's a real sense that if a rebuild is the goal, every veteran contract needs to at least be looked at, and Garland is at the top of that list. Although, at the same time, as what our friend Rain has pointed out previously, we've been dealing with Garland trade rumors since he arrived here in Vancouver. And the real question is, will the Canucks actually pull the trigger? Remember, they've been hesitant to move Garland, although now we're hearing that they are being very aggressive in moving Garland and they want to get it done. So, what do you guys think? Does he end up on Long Island, Boston, or New Jersey? Or could a dark horse like Columbus swoop in at the last minute? Maybe even the Washington Capitals swoops in and manages to offer something that completely blows the Canucks' socks off, and they just go, done, deal. This is going to be a wild less than 24 hours. Drop your trade predictions in the comments. I want to see your mock trades for each of these teams. Go ahead, let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, let's take a quick look at the NHL draft odds, or not NHL, the DraftKings NHL odds real quick. Let me just quickly bring this up. And we'll take a look at tomorrow because obviously, the time of this recording, a lot of the games have already started with games tomorrow. So we have the Florida Panthers and the Detroit Red Wings. The Panthers are a minus 198 on the puck line and a plus 1.5 and a plus 124 on the money line. The Red Wings are a plus 164 and a minus 1.5 on the puck line and a minus 148 on the puck line. Keep in mind, these odds are subject to change. And let's go, and on that note, let's go, and speaking of DraftKings, I want to give a shout out and thank you to my sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, which, of course, is an official sports betting partner of the NHL. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario, restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright 2026 NHL, all rights reserved. This video has been a presentation of both DraftKings Sportsbook as well as the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, where it's every team, everywhere. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to The Line Change for more daily coverage as we continue to count down towards the trade deadline. Also, be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss more in-depth analysis of your Vancouver Canucks. Just a reminder, tomorrow at 11 a.m., we're going to be doing a trade deadline show. I'm going to be co-hosting with my buddy Gerald, and it'll be a collaboration between The Line Change and Headspace Hockey on both channels. So if you're a regular subscriber here, you'll be able to see it here. And also, if you want to check out Headspace Hockey, it'll be on there as well. I'm really looking forward to that, and it's going to be a great time. And who knows, maybe during that video, a Conor Garland trade will go down, and we'll be able to react to it live and in living color for every single one of you. Once again, drop your comments down below. Drop your mock trades in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the next Line Change.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.